Heights, and thank you for joining us this evening for this very special event, our Montgomery County Executive Candidates Forum. Last month, we celebrated the 40th anniversary of the opening of this building, and I can't think of a better way to kick off the second 40 years than by hosting this event this evening. Our moderator tonight is Lou Peck. Lou is a contributing editor to Bethesda Magazine and its website, Bethesda Today. He is also a co-founder of and contributor to Maryland Matters and a senior author of the Almanac of American Politics. On behalf of the Village, I want to thank Mr. Peck and all the candidates for taking the time to join us this evening. Mr. Peck, welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me? Yeah. I usually don't have a problem with my voice being heard. In any event, as you know, I'm Lou Peck, a contributing editor of Bethesda Magazine and its website, Bethesda Today. And on behalf of the Village of Friendship Heights, I'd like to welcome you to a forum featuring the 7 candidates competing in next month's Democratic and Republican primaries for county executive. We will shortly give the candidates on the dais an opportunity to introduce themselves in their opening statements, but I'd like to open by briefly identifying them in alphabetical order. Down at the other end of the row is Mithun Banerjee. I should say first of the 5 candidates in the Democratic primary: Mithun Banerjee, Andrew Friedson, Evan Glass, Peter James, and Will Jawando. And the 2 Republican candidates competing in that party's primary are Shelly Skolnick and Esther Wells. And with that, if you want to give them a round of applause, that's fine. And I'd ask you to withhold further applause and observe quiet until the conclusion of the forum to give the candidates the maximum amount of time possible to respond to questions that a number of you will submit. We will start by giving each candidate a minute and a half for an opening statement, and we'll conclude with closing remarks by each, again for a minute and a half. In between, each candidate will be given a minute and a half to respond to each of the questions that will be asked of them, with an initial round coming from yours truly, the moderator, and the balance of the questions submitted by members of the audience. We will rotate the order of response with each question so that no one is answering first or last all the time. There will be a timekeeper in front of the room, Anne, who will hold up a sign indicating when there is 30 seconds left in a candidate's response or during the candidate's opening and closing remarks. A similar sign will be raised when time is up. Candidates may be given 30 seconds for rebuttal when mentioned by name by another candidate at the discretion of the moderator. Members of the live audience, if you would like to ask a question, please raise your hand and an index card will be provided to write down whatever question you'd like to pose to the candidates. Questions should be phrased so they can be asked of all 7 candidates. If you want to submit a question, then please hold up your index card and someone will be around to collect it from you. The questions will be reviewed by the Friendship Heights Village Manager, Julian Mansfield, or his designees before they are sent up to me to be asked. And we'll try to get to as many questions as possible before the conclusion of the forum at 8:15. And I should mention before we go ahead with the opening statements, this event is being live streamed and recorded for posting on the Village's website in the next day or so. And with that, thank you, and we'll go to the candidates for their opening statements. We'll start at the end with Mr. Banerjee.
Good evening. Thank you, host, for inviting me. Thanks for the opportunity. My name is Mithun Banerjee. I was born in India. I came to this country almost quarter to a century with 2 suitcases and 1 handbag. Today, I'm running for county executive of Montgomery County. That's the American dream. I have a master's in electrical engineering, bachelor electronics communication, 11 publications, and also the Young Engineer of the Year, Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Area 2013. I received the proclamation from President Obama 2015 for attending the White House RP event, and also been honored to be invited to White House by Honorable President Biden and First Lady Dr. Jill Biden. What I will do for you, it doesn't matter what is my background and all, but you need to understand I came from very bad situation with 2 suitcases. So I know a value of $1. So I will provide affordable housing by private-public partnership. And also, I'm not going to increase taxes on normal people. People making more than $1 million are going to be paying more taxes, not us. So I will provide free universal childcare, free universal pre-K by raising taxes on people making more than $1 million a year, as well as businesses making profit more than $1 million a year. And also, I'm going to stop illegal deportation without due process. Because of that, I have to carry my passport card with me, and so that I don't get detained by ICE. So please support me. If not, support the establishment, pay more taxes. Choice is clear. Thank you.
Mr. Friedson.
Good evening. I'm Andrew Friedson. It's great to be back here, and happy 40th to this amazing building. It has been the honor of my life to be able to represent the community where I was raised on the Montgomery County Council, and to be able to represent Friendship Heights as your council member. I've been very proud to work together with you to make significant progress, including for this community. Things like the Friendship Heights Alliance, where we were able to work together with residences and with residents and with businesses to have the first cross-jurisdictional effort between DC and Montgomery County, so that we can revitalize the retail sector along Friendship Heights to make sure that it's serving residents' needs. Been proud to work together to provide tax relief for low-income residents and seniors on fixed incomes by expanding the HOTC, the homeowners tax credit, to work together with you previously to stop a 100% increase for common ownership communities, which would have disproportionately hurt places like Friendship Heights, to make sure that we were ensuring affordability for our residents, and working together during COVID in an emergency to make sure that places like Friendship Heights specifically got the access to tests and to vaccines that were necessary given the older adult population that lives here. I've been proud to serve you, to work together with you. One of my proud moments is to be the chief judge of the village elections. I look forward to having your questions, and I'm really looking forward to serving as county executive with your support to provide a more affordable and more economically competitive Montgomery County. Thank you.
Mr. Glass.
Good evening, everybody. It is always good to be back here, and you'll probably hear from all of us. The 40th anniversary of this building was a wonderful celebration. For those of you who I have not met since joining the council 8 years ago, I am originally from Long Island, New York, and I grew up in a home with a single mom who worked 2 jobs for me. I came down to DC to attend American University right down the road, the first in my family to attend college. And after I graduated, I got my dream job, which was being a journalist for CNN. And I worked at CNN for 12 years, traveling the country, covering Congress. And at the same time, I wanted to fix my neighborhood. I wanted to make our sidewalks better. I wanted to work with public safety to make sure everybody was safe. And I was working with developers to make sure that as things were being built, there were amenities that the community wanted. That's how I got active in local government. After I left CNN, I became a contractor for the federal government, helping support veterans and the Department of Veterans Affairs by informing those who earned health care benefits and other benefits that we provided for them. And I share all of this because it has been an honor serving on the council. I'm proud of the work I've done. I think that if we are progressive and we want to make progress, we have to have a track record. And I look forward to sharing my track record of helping everyone in Montgomery County during the course of this conversation.
Thank you, Mr. James.
I need to stretch my legs here. Yeah, I came to the county in '59 at the age of 4. At 19, went out to Silicon Valley, learned my trade for 20 years, and came back with my family. Married to a NICU nurse and have 2 grown daughters. One's a school teacher. And You know, it said if you do, you know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Well, we have 3 guys up here that you did it twice, and I'm trying to figure out how do I convince a room full of crazy people to change or flip their pancake. And I spent 50 years working for big Fortune 500s, governments, and I'm the guy they called in when nobody else, all this Berkeley and Stanford PhDs couldn't figure it out. Nolan Bushnell, the Pong and Target guy, he hired an executive recruiter to bring him a wizard, and I'm the guy they brought. 20th Century Fox had the Fall Guy, #1 TV show. I got a call on the phone. Can you write us a video game? The smart crosswalk study the state did, I got a call from University of Maryland. So I'm the guy who fixes things. I can make the county better, faster, and cheaper, and you have to go to my website because these speed dating events are just absurd to hire a chief executive. Thank you.
Mr. Jawando.
Thank you to the Village of Friendship Heights. Thank you to all of the neighbors for coming. It's good to see you. I'm Will Jawando. I'm your at-large council member, chair of the Education Committee in my 8th year. I was born and raised here in Montgomery County, grew up in the Long Branch area of Silver Spring, and kind of have been working my way up New Hampshire Avenue ever since. I live in the Ashton Sandy Spring area now with my wife, Michelle, and our 4 children, 3 of whom are teenage girls. So every audience, I ask for prayers for that. I'm a civil rights lawyer. I became a civil rights lawyer because I saw inequity growing up and didn't like it. I lost my best friend to gun violence here in Montgomery County. It led me to a lot of cool places. First job as an AmeriCorps member working with the Montgomery County Police Department. Then as an FBI honors intern, and then to the NAACP Legal Department. Then 10 years on Capitol Hill with Nancy Pelosi, Sherrod Brown, and Barack Obama in the Senate. And then I worked in the Obama White House and Department of Education, where I ran large programs and oversaw all our boards and commissions. On the last 8 years of the council, I'm not proud of one policy or program. I'm proud that I listened to residents. When the attainable housing strategy came up, I was one of 2 votes that voted against it, not because I'm against housing, but because it didn't include the voices of people in how it went forward. I was proud to be the leader for rent stabilization, which impacts many people here in Friendship Heights that are getting priced out. And now we have a cap that can help keep people in their homes, and 70% reduction in rent for people in covered buildings. So look forward to talking to you about all that tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Skolnick.
Hi, and good evening. Unlike Evan, I didn't come from far away. Actually, I came from across the street. I've been one of your neighbors for about 6 years in the building directly over there. So I understand the problems and the opportunities here in Friendship Heights. But what I'd like to talk about are 2 main issues that are facing us. One is taxes, and the other one is traffic. Everyone on this dais has said they're against increasing your taxes. But there's a hidden tax increase facing all owners of property in Montgomery County. And that is when the assessment goes up each year and you keep the tax rate constant, your tax bill goes up. It's kind of hidden. They don't have to do anything. It just automatically goes up. I propose that we reduce the tax rate so that the net effect is that your taxes won't go up. We can get additional revenue by new construction, as we see in Bethesda. It's the high-rise buildings going up. As far as traffic, I've been promoting what I call tolls, variable tolls, that we can use right now to reduce the traffic congestion, which is horrible. I don't know about you, I drive on the Beltway and every day, and it's like a parking lot at times. I think we can do many creative solutions. We should have done them years ago. I will discuss them more, hopefully, tonight. Thank you.
Ms. Wells.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Esther Wells, and I am an immigrant, a longtime resident of Montgomery County, and the mom of 2 boys, an 8-year-old and a 13-year-old who has autism spectrum disorder and ADHD. Professionally, I am a certified public accountant in the state of Maryland for over 15 years with a master's in taxation. Currently, I lead the state indirect tax department of a multi-billion-dollar operations based out of Washington, D.C., with a proven track record of monetizing multi-million-dollar savings opportunities. Thank you, Julian Mansfield and the Village of Friendship Heights for having me here this evening. As your next county executive, my priorities are your priorities. Regarding the 2026 sector plan, my administration will respect the character of Friendship Heights. We want to attract young families to live here, but to do that, we must ensure our infrastructure has safe sidewalks, road capacity, and school capacity before we build more homes and for more people. Second, I will stand with the Village Council in opposing high-rises on parcels 4 and 6. We must focus high-density housing where it belongs, on transit-adjacent sites like Geico and Saks. Speaking of Geico's site, I hear the Little Falls Watershed Alliance loud and clear. We need a walkable residential village that actually prioritizes community amenities you've asked for, like the new library and performing arts center. Finally, while our BCC cluster schools lead in literacy, our students are still struggling with post-pandemic math proficiency. I am committed to closing the gaps so our schools remain the best in Maryland. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and away we go. First question. We'll start with Mr. Banerjee. Please identify what you consider to be the biggest policy or political challenge facing Montgomery County, and if elected, what steps to address this issue would you take or propose? Mr. Banerjee, you're first.
So as I'm right now a private citizen, I will give you my experience. I've been trying to have an appointment with Mr. Mark Eldridge for last 3 to 4 years. I was not able to get one. But now I can able to talk to him because I'm a candidate running for county executive. So I don't have to run for office to talk to our government officials. When we send emails, we don't get timely responses. It's very unfortunate the government doesn't listen to us, and they keep on increasing our taxes. So I just wanted to show Mr. Jawando and Eldridge last year wanted to increase taxes in May when federal employees are getting fired by horrible Dodge department. And now he doesn't, because I criticized them last 6-7 months. No more tax increases because we cannot afford. And affordability, because the problem is the establishment, they have no idea how to run a business, because I'm a small business owner. So I will tell you, you cannot increase taxes and give affordable housing. It's impossible. You cannot increase taxes and give affordable rental. Impossible. If they are talking, they are just making false promises. But if you don't vote for me, wait and watch. I give you notarized statement. Next year, tax is going up. Because I'm criticizing them now, it's not going to be this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Mr. Eldridge is not here, but Mr. Jawando is, so he gets 30 seconds to respond since he was called by name.
Thank you very much. I'll just say we're working through the budget right now. I have put out a proposal to not increase property taxes, to fund our contracts, to make sure that we fund our school system appropriately, and make some difficult cuts, over $70 million in cuts to our base budget. That's what I proposed. I'm the only council member that has put that detailed of a plan out for consideration, not just this council, but as far as I can remember on the council. And so I take that very seriously. It's not the time to raise taxes, but we need to make some difficult decisions.
Mr. Friedson, you're up next.
There's going to be a theme tonight. Affordability is the #1 issue we are facing as a community. Gas prices are up, grocery prices are way up, utility costs are skyrocketing. These challenges were issues previously. I have been talking about these issues since the time I joined the council. I ran 8 years ago. My campaign theme was ease the squeeze on our residents and on our families and on our businesses, because I have been relentlessly focused on affordability and on economic competitiveness. We can't make Montgomery County more affordable if we make it more expensive, and that includes each and every year proposing additional tax increases that only further burden our residents. I've been consistent in pushing back against property tax increases and income tax increases, because it's not how we are going to be more affordable or more competitive. We have seen a growth in county government by 44% over the last 8 years, and we are only growing the economy at 1/3 that rate. We have to have a county executive that is relentlessly focused on growing the economy and holding the line on tax increases. My background at the state level is doing fiscal, economic, tax, and regulatory work. This is what I did before I joined the council. This is literally why I joined the council. We've delivered on housing affordability and innovative funding programs to make housing more affordable. We've delivered on tax relief for low-income residents and seniors on fixed incomes. We need to deliver on growing the economy. The county executive is the chief economic development officer for the county. I'll be relentlessly focused on this and will deliver as county executive.
Thank you. Mr. Glass.
I think there are two challenges that we're facing here. One is making sure that you all can continue to afford to live here, and also making sure that our kids and grandkids can afford to live here, not only to be caregivers for those who need it, but to move back into the community where they grew up. It is getting really expensive. Let me restate that. It is already really expensive to live here. And we have to tackle that challenge. And there's a lot of reason for it. It is everything from housing prices and housing costs to the utility bills to global tariffs and all of these other things as well. Which leads me to the second point of the problem that we face. Donald Trump. Just a quarter of a mile down the road, in Washington, D.C., what Donald Trump and Elon Musk have done over the last 18 months is try to change everything about Montgomery County. Changing our economy by firing thousands of people. And if you are a federal employee or a former federal employee, thank you for your service to our country, to our community, and to the globe. You have served a good benefit. But what Donald Trump has done is force us to rethink our economy, because we have to provide more economic opportunity and more jobs for all of those people. At the same time, we also have to protect our people against Donald Trump and against ICE and against the hate that exists. Thank you.
Mr. James.
Well, the reason Nolan Bushnell needed a wizard is he had a Catalyst Group, one of the first high-tech incubators. Nolan's the guy who taught Steve Jobs how to be an entrepreneur. What we're lacking in this county is any kind of thinking outside the box, innovation. Out in Silicon Valley, they called me in because everybody got tunnel vision. We've got this scarcity paradigm going on, and there's no reason. The universe is so much larger than what our minds. My wife says stop using big words, but who knows what a paradigm? Anybody know what a paradigm is? Okay, good. I got a good crowd. We need just to shift paradigms. What I went into these big Fortune 500 companies and they were stuck. And I said, there was a guy named Roger Von Ock wrote a book called Whack on the Side of the Head. We just need to whack you guys on the side of the head and get you out of that same tunnel vision. Because I went to Silicon Valley. If you weren't disruptive there, nobody wanted to talk to you. In Montgomery County, if you're disruptive here, nobody wants to talk to you. I went to Mark Ehrlich. I said, I want a purchase order for 100,000 free electric vehicles for poor people. And he said no. And I had a $3 billion international charity to back me. So look at my website.
Mr. Jawando.
Yes, so affordability is the issue, but I'll connect it to something broader than that. I mean, the very ability to have the American dream, to have a place that has a great school, a safe neighborhood, someplace you can afford to live, work a job that pays a living wage, and retire with dignity. That's what we base this county, this country on, and it's slipping away for a lot of people. And I think a big, big driver of it is corporate consolidation and income inequality at the highest levels. And we have our own version of it here. The number one contributors to local elections are developers. Number one contributors to some of my opponents in this race are developers. They have to return 18, 20% to their investors, BlackRock, who are buying up all these properties and driving up the cost. That's one example of a macro example of this problem. The reason you can't afford to live here is because they build luxury housing and don't build affordable housing, because they don't want any restrictions on how high they can raise rent. So that's because they say they're going to build things and do parks and other things, and no one holds them accountable to do the things that they said they were going to do, like the Greenway and the park that were supposed to be done 27 years ago in the sector plan here. And so you need someone who's going to hold people accountable and make sure you invest in community-based infrastructure in the things that make Montgomery County great, our schools, our parks, our libraries. And that's really, really important. And then to do that, we need a fair tax structure. We We don't need corporations paying the same rate as residents, which is what we have here, which is why you're feeling the squeeze more than others.
Mr. Skolnick.
Yeah, let's talk about fair tax structure. I'm not a fan of Mark Elrich, but I just read one of his recent emails, in fact, last week, where he talked about these tax exemptions given to developers of large buildings that they convert them from non-residential to a residential use, like taking an office building and making it into apartments. The government, our county government, is giving a 20-year tax exemption to those developers. 20 years, they don't pay taxes. Well, we do. I think that's a scandal. I just found out about it, and I'm going to raise it throughout the campaign. Add to that, there's another tax exemption, a 15-year tax exemption, apparently for constructing certain buildings near metro stations. So, is that fair? I don't think it's fair. And I'm going to raise it, and why don't you ask the incumbents who voted for that, if they did. I'm not sure who voted for it or not. But look at Mark Elrich's comment. It's very, very thoughtful that he put in his last email to the residents of Montgomery County. Thank you.
Ms. Wells.
For 8 years, Democrats have held total control of Montgomery County, yet their leadership has been a categorical disaster for minority families. On every major metric of success, from the wealth and income gaps to disparities in health, education, home ownership, and employment, the data is either stagnant or declining. Montgomery County is in a financial crisis. You don't call a plumber to fix an electrical problem, and you shouldn't expect career politicians to fix a failing budget. My opponents consist of a journalist turned politician, a civil rights lawyer, and a career government servant, all with virtually no private sector experience. To solve this crisis, we need a certified public accountant with the proven public and private sector financial expertise required to balance the books and deliver results. As your next county executive, I will reverse the recent 4.7% tax hike, which my opponent, Will Jawando, said he voted no because he thought it was too low 2 years ago. I will cut the property assessment increase by 50% to be comparable with the region. I will eliminate the Montgomery County fuel energy tax, which originally was to be a temporary tax, but the government loved it so much they made it permanent. That is 17% for businesses and 9% for county residents, plus 6% sales tax. Look at your utility bills and see what portion of each bill is based on taxes. It's almost 25%. And so what I am saying is you cannot be part of the problem and solution. Try something different and try a CPA who can fix the financial crisis. Thank you.
Mr. Jawando, you're on for 30 seconds again.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I've always say when people attacking you, you must be doing something right. So the two bills that Shelly mentioned, I actually voted against. My two colleagues voted for those enormous property tax abatements where, again, you could have a child today and they'd be in their second year of college and that building still would not have paid one dime in property tax. And at the property at Grosvenor, in one of them, there's units for $10,000, $11,000, $12,000 a month. It's a total scam.
Okay. I think we're on to the next question. And this is on a topic that's been raised a couple of times so far this evening. This will give everybody a chance to dive into it a little bit more. And that's the issue of the rent stabilization law adopted in 2023. And I understand that about 60% of the residents of Friendship Heights Village are renters. One recent report by the County Planning Department suggests that the law has had an adverse, when I say the law, the rent stabilization law, has had an adverse effect on housing construction in the county. As county executive, are there changes you would seek in the rent stabilization law, including an up to outright repeal? And if so, would you describe what changes you would seek? And I'd also add to that, also the law applies now to rental units that are at least 23 years old. Would you seek to expand its reach to cover units newer than that? And we start this round of questions with Mr. Friedson.
Thanks for the question. So I propose a different approach to this issue. There was agreement, and I continue to believe that there are ways that we can protect renters without having significant negative impacts on the housing market, which ultimately is what we need to maintain affordability long-term. Unfortunately, the data on this has demonstrated that we didn't get it right. And rents before rent stabilization were a little over 2% year over year. Since rent stabilization, they're a little over 2% year over year. So about the same on rents, except the rate of homelessness has gone up, and multifamily residential permits have plummeted by 97%. The only residential permits that are being built right now are government subsidized. The White Oak project that gets cited a lot, we have $400 million in developer subsidies in that. $400 million. Every other project is a subsidized project for affordable housing. There is no others that are working. I had proposed a way to prevent double-digit rent increases, which we saw in the aftermath of the pandemic, which is absolutely outrageous. We all agreed that we should prevent that. But we need a scalpel approach and not a hammer approach, because the sledgehammer approach, unfortunately, is doing harm to the housing industry and the housing market, and you can't solve housing if we're not building any housing in Montgomery County. We are subjecting our children and our grandchildren to a future without housing that's going to let them have a place to live here, and we have to find the better balance in order to address that.
Thank you. Mr. Glass.
3 years ago, I was president of the council when the issue of rent control came up. There were various proposals ranging from having rent control at 3% to having it at effectively 15 or 16%. So everybody supported some level of rent control, and at the same time, everybody said, while we protect renters, we also need to continue building more housing for future generations. One of the reasons why Montgomery County is the most diverse place is because we welcome people from all around the world and all around the country. So the two have to go hand in hand. And I did support the rent control law because it was a compromise. And so what it is that 6% is what the rent cap is. But over the last 3 years, we've learned that we're not building enough housing for future generations. As was just noted, permits have plummeted by 97%. That's the true statement, 97%. So the goal that we all subscribed to is not meeting its mission. And so when I'm county executive, I will work with the council, which will still be very diverse, right? Whatever the opinion of the county executive is does not mean that is what will be the outcome. But I will work with the council to make sure that while we continue protecting renters, we continue being able to build more housing for our kids and our grandkids and for anyone around the world who wants to move to Montgomery County.
Thank you. Mr. James.
To answer this question, you got to go on my website and spend 20 minutes. First of all, I change a paradigm. If we got 40% renters, why not turn that into 4% renters? The county spends $165 million a year subsidizing people to build rental units. Why don't we take that same money and subsidize mortgages and mortgage subsidies? Just think about it. For a renter, it costs 4 times the housing cost to rent than it does to own over 30 years. Once we start doing that, that goes away, and it's called supply and demand. If there's the same amount of rental units and a lot less renters, then that eliminates the problem. So it's using your brain a little bit to not get stuck in these narrow-minded approaches at things. So I'm the guy, I pride myself being the little boy that tells the emperor he doesn't have any clothes. And literally, when, I don't know if it was Hewlett-Packard, because they switched each year, was playing golf with the Transamerica title guy, and the Transamerica title guy was complaining about his computer, I got the phone call. Like I said, I'm the guy that, New York City wanted to keep people safe by tracking their cell phones to keep them from getting hit.
Thank you. Mr. Jawando.
Thank you. A very important question. 40% of county residents are renters. 60% of your community here are renters. I was proud to lead the charge on these bills, not only to freeze rent during COVID, but also lead to the stabilization bill. This bill is working. If you look at every measure, and I'll get to the housing one in a second, 70% of people in impacted buildings have seen their rents go down. Again, 400,000 people in this county are renters. So even if just 10% are doing these crazy increases, it really impacts people. The other number that's important, I moved 5 times before I was in 8th grade because we were in low-income rental housing and we're looking for affordability. $50 to $100 increases can displace people. Since this law has been in effect, homelessness is actually down. Check the Baltimore Banner report out this week, 26% in Montgomery County. It's not factual to say that it's up. It's down from this year to last year, and in part because of this bill. We also did compromise. You can charge whatever you want for 23 years, which I think is a little too long. I think we might need to look at revisiting that. And you can charge up to 6% when the average rent increase in Montgomery County is 2.5% to 3%. You can still make a profit. But you know what you don't do is you don't displace that young mom or that senior who is dependent on these places for their homes. These are homes. This isn't just, when you have 40%, these are people's homes. So we need to keep it in place. And you balance that against what are we talking about? Developers who want to be greedy and make millions and millions and billions of dollars. I'm going to protect that renter every time.
Thank you. Mr. Skolnick.
I don't think we should hate developers. Of course, there might be some excesses, but they're the ones who build the housing. It's a matter of supply and demand. I mean, I think we've all learned that in economics, and that's the problem. And as some of the other candidates mentioned, a 97% reduction in permits for housing, and we're basically the only housing in Montgomery County that's being built is subsidized by the government. To me, that's the wrong way. So this has come up in prior forums, this question. And what I've said then and I'll say now is that I'm for gradually eliminating rent control over 5 years or 10 years, but just do it gradually because some people obviously are relying upon the rent control now. But we have to get to the free market. We have to encourage developers to build housing. The more housing, the lower, eventually, the lower the rents and the housing prices. Thank you.
Ms. Wells.
Yes, and just to make a comment for the audience, right? So again, our current incumbents are the ones that are continually raising the property taxes on us. And so if we're saying it takes $50 to $60 a month to displace a family, that's approximately how much our property taxes are increasing each month. Right now, there's a proposal by the County Council for FY 2027 to remove the ITOC, which is the $692,000 tax credit that we all receive as homeowners on our bills. With that being removed, divide that by 12 months, and your taxes are going up about that much. And similarly, with the landlords as well, though the renters do not receive that credit, their taxes are their rent is also going to go up. So in terms of the question, rent control has caused real estate developers to essentially redline Montgomery County. So I do not believe the county's rent stabilization policies have been effective. The 2023 law has been a disaster for housing availability, as you cannot stabilize prices through policies when the underlying issue is scarcity. So what I am recommending is that I will repeal or weaken rent control by removing price caps, and that's essential to regain investor confidence and stimulate new construction. I will remove the red tape by streamlining the permitting process to cut through bureaucracy and get shovels in the ground faster. And lastly, increase supply. By removing barriers to development, we can address the scarcity that actually drives prices up. So my approach shifts the focus from failed government mandates to market-driven solutions. We must make Montgomery County a place where housing can be actually built rather than the jurisdiction that drives investment away. Thank you.
Mr. Banerjee.
Thank you. I would request the moderator to ask Mr. Jawando why did he support a 10% property tax hike in fiscal year 2024. He didn't answer that question, and why he did supported property tax hike in 2025. So he didn't answer that question. He's answerable to us. He's a public servant. He's dodging this question for so many places. He should answer this question. Thank you. And also, what is rent stabilization? There are 40% renters in Montgomery County. They did this bill. How many landlords were being discussed in that bill? Nobody was consulted. I was a tenant before, and I'm a small landlord right now. I wanted to talk to them. No, they don't want to talk to us. So they only wanted to do it for vote bank politics, okay? So they wanted to divide and rule between landlord and tenants. We have to work together. I don't increase my rent unless my property tax goes high or income tax goes high. That is a simple thing. You tax us more, we increase the rent. Simple equation as an engineer, I'm telling you. Last 7 to 8 years, 20 to 39% property tax gone up with the tax bill as well as property tax assessment hike. So now you tell us, how are we going to sustain as a small landlord in Montgomery County when they are taxing us more and they are not giving us the relief? Thank you.
Thank you. Well, it's the role of the moderator to solicit questions from the audience, not the panel. But that being said, Mr. Jawando, you've been mentioned again by name, so you have 30 seconds to respond as you see fit.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Just to be an additive, so development is happening. I met with about 45 developers a couple months ago. One of the biggest developers in this county said, quote, "We overbuilt Bethesda." Probably not a surprise to anyone in the room. There's a lot of vacancies of expensive apartments. We don't have enough affordable housing. The idea that there's not enough supply, no, there's not enough affordable supply. This trickle-down economics does not work. And I've gone and seen the microfilms. When we did the MPDU law in the 70s, all the developers said, oh, it's going to break everything. Now they're used to it. Rent stabilization will be the same way.
Thank you. With that, we start the round of questions from the audience, and I would remind the audience, please, if you have a question and you want to ask it, raise your hand. Julian or his designee will bring around an index card, and then when you've written down your question, please raise your hand again. Julian is screening the questions, and we'll bring them up to me. Yes, that's Julian over there. In any event, the first question is on a topic that was several of you alluded to in your opening statements, and this will give everybody more of a chance to dive into it. And this is, again, first audience question. What is your plan to increase Montgomery County's tax base so that we can support schools, parks, social services, et cetera? We start with Mr. Glass.
I think this is the central question because we do need tax revenue for our schools. We do need tax revenue for health and human services and senior services. But the way the county executive has operated is that every time he's asked for revenue increases, it is from property taxes, which means it's coming from all of us, not just millionaires and billionaires, all of us. And the only way to increase revenue for services we want is by increasing the tax base by expanding economic opportunity. I have two plans. One, continue investing in our life science corridor. You might not know that from Bethesda all the way up to Germantown, we are the third largest life science hub in the nation. And at this time when RFK Jr. is dismantling public health care, we need to continue investing in it, investing in our neighbors, investing in our entrepreneurs, because there will be a day, hopefully, when RFK Jr. is no longer HHS secretary, and we want these companies to stay here so we can grow to become the second or first life science hub. At the same time, 95% of our businesses are not large, they are small. And we need to make it easier for small businesses to get back to work. When mom and pop restaurants spend more time on paperwork to open up than cooking the food that they're good at, we've failed them. And so we need to start changing our permitting service, and that's what I'll do as county executive.
Thank you. Mr. James.
It said, those that have eyes will see and ears will hear. I see things out in the future. In 2008, I sat in front of a bunch of rooms like this and saying, we're about to have a big, huge, giant collapse, and nobody wanted to listen. The collapse we're going into, whether it's next month or a year from now, is going to be 5 times worse than 2008. I'm a monetary scientist. I had radio shows. I had the world's best macroeconomic scientists from around the world on those shows. If you watch The Big Short, he's short Palantir and NVIDIA. But Warren Buffett, what did he do before he retired? He went to dry powder. This is an opportunity for us to sell golf courses. There's at least 5 or 6 buildings the school system has they have no use for. Sell the liquor stores. I would start shedding assets and conserving cash, and I would move this paradigm. Jobs are going away. Amazon just laid off another 30,000. They leaked a document that says they have a plan to get rid of all 160,000 workers. The layoffs aren't going to stop. AI is here. It works for $1.50 an hour, doesn't take breaks, and it's tax deductible. We're not going to have jobs, so we have to change our paradigm.
Thank you. Mr. Jawando.
Thank you for the question. So a couple things. I've talked a little bit, so I won't harp on this one. Fair taxes, right? In D.C., commercial property pays $1.20, residents pay 89 cents. Virginia, the way they built the Silver Line and invested in Tyson's was they used tax on commercial property to build infrastructure, which benefited everyone. We need to change that system. We need state authority. It'll be a top priority for me to do that, so you have less of the burden. Two, small business investment. 95% of the businesses here are small. If you've ever had a cookie or cupcake from Parkway Deli in Chevy Chase, you've probably eaten my mom's cookies because she supplies them to them. So thank you. It's called Ella's Bake Shop, named after my grandmother. My stepfather, whose birthday is today actually, runs a service called Senior Transportation Service. That's literally the name of it, so you can look it up. He has a lot of clients at 8101 and Leisure World and other places. He takes them to the doctor and to the grocery store in a dignified way. I helped both of them start their businesses. It was too hard. I'm a lawyer, so is my wife. We need to smooth that regulatory process, make permitting easier, expand procurement opportunities. We do $1 billion in procurement. Absolutely double down on life sciences. Only San Francisco and Boston are ahead of us. We passed Raleigh-Durham in the last 8 years. AstraZeneca just invested $2 billion here. I was just in China and Japan in October, met with 40 companies, many in the life science area. 2 have already signed to come here, including Samsung Biologics. That's a big growth opportunity for us. And then continue to invest in fundamentals like schools, parks, and libraries. That's what brings people here. That's how you expand the base.
Thank you. Mr. Skolnick.
Okay, let's increase the tax base, I agree. Take a look around, the Grandview in Bethesda, huge buildings, huge increase for tax base. Look in Bethesda at the intersection of Wisconsin and Montgomery Avenue, 2 new high-rise buildings, again, huge tax base. Look at New Hampshire Avenue by the Beltway. There's 2 huge buildings going up in the George Meany Center or whatever. What I brought up in a prior forum is the fact that there is a Supreme Court case involving New Haven, Connecticut, which allows government to use eminent domain to acquire property and then resell that to developers of buildings on that property. In other words, normally eminent domain is for highways or schools or public use. But the Supreme Court years ago in that New Haven, Connecticut decision said that the local government, state government can use eminent domain to gather properties and then have it a significant size that they can have it developed. I'm unaware whether Montgomery County has done this. It's been available, but yet they haven't. So that's the way I would increase the tax base.
Ms. Wells.
Yes, and so my perspective will be very holistic. First, I have done a deep dive into Montgomery County's MCPS operating budget and Montgomery County's budget as a certified public accountant and the president of the Montgomery County's Taxpayers League. And we have identified that there has been mismanagement, there has been waste in our budget, and there's approximately 20% of our budget that we are able to reduce costs and be able to flow back the taxes to you as residents. So first, I will do a zero-based budgeting approach to ensure that each position in our county, each year, it needs to be funded at the levels that is needed for our service level, while also automating and innovating our county operations. And so any position that is scientific in nature, that is repetitive, redundant, and high volume, such as maybe 311, we should be able to automate that and use tools and technology to help offset the need for additional residents. And we are able to upskill those residents and allow them to be the supervisors or allow them to be used in other areas of the county. Also, I will fund the Montgomery County Economic Development Committee's strategic plan and ensure that we fund outcomes. Also, again, Virginia continues to eat our lunch, and so with a new administration, I think it's a ripe time for the county executive to go back to those headquarters and those corporations and welcome them back because they did look at Montgomery County as interest. However, we were closed for business under the current county executive. And then lastly, I will say that I will reduce the property taxes. I will also cut the property assessments and eliminate Montgomery County's fuel energy tax while championing a mix of solar, nuclear, and battery energy.
Thank you. Mr. Banerjee.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Let me, lost my, Yeah, how would you grow the tax base? I'm losing my, yes, here it is. What is your plan to increase Montgomery County's tax base so that we can support schools, parks, social services, et cetera?
A very important question. And the reason is we don't have to increase the tax rate, but the tax base. I said, let's have a university in Montgomery County. We are the richest county in state of Maryland and one of the richest in USA. But we don't have one. We have Montgomery College and Universities of Shady Grove. Let's combine that together and have medical school, dental, engineering, business, science, and arts school. So that way what happened, we create an ecosystem, all businesses will come here, and that will be a good economic zone. That's a good solution. Just close your eyes and see the College Park, or University of Maryland College Park. What has been transformed that area? The same thing needs to be done here. And we have a lot of adult senior citizens in Montgomery County who are the voters. They need affordable health care. So with the business school, with the medical school and business, all those things, we can provide that services. Now, also, we have to understand our school systems. They're taking almost more than 50% of our budget, 3.65 billion out of 7.6. Our school enrollment is going down, performance is going down, cost is going high. So under my administration, I'm going to stop fraud, abuse, and corruptions. And there has been battery bus contract been awarded illegally as per the state of Maryland. Former principal was accused of sexual assault and been kept quiet, and later on came to media and forced to let go. We need to stop that. Thank you.
Mr. Friedson, you get the last word on this one.
We have been complacent in Montgomery County. The bottom line is our economy has been stagnating for a decade. We used to be the economic powerhouse of the region. We no longer are. We need a county executive that is relentlessly focused on this issue. You heard earlier, and we've heard this consistently, and this is the current status quo of the current administration, that the primary way to grow the tax base and to create jobs is to raise taxes on businesses. That's how we're going to compete with Virginia. There's not a single business who would tell you that the way in which they are going to come here, they're going to be attracted here, they're going to invest here as if their taxes go up. It's just not realistic. It's not a serious proposal. There are no income taxes in Virginia, no local income taxes. That is a fundamental difference, so it's apples to oranges. We have to be honest about the competitive disadvantage. It's 3 to 4% cheaper to run a business in Virginia. And so every time that taxes are proposed to go up, businesses are less likely to invest here or to stay here. That's just the bottom line. I have been focused on these issues. The Economic Development Strategic Plan that you heard earlier, I drafted, wrote, sponsored, and passed that bill. It has been delayed by the current county executive. We need a county executive that's going to implement that plan, to hold ourselves accountable to actually creating the jobs in that plan. I've moved forward with an Accelerate MoCo initiative, which cuts the red tape and allows for it to move forward so that it's cheaper and faster and easier to actually invest in Montgomery County. We put forward a plan for permitting to look at the successes around us where we can fix the permitting process. We have to grow our economy or else we are going to be left paying the bill.
Thank you. We've gotten a series of questions regarding, no surprise here, the Friendship Heights sector plan. So I may actually try to break this in two. We'll start with the first part of this, which deals with the sector plan in general. Many of us in Friendship Heights are unhappy with the planning department's proposal to blanket the community with more high-rises instead of expanding green space. What are your views on this issue? And if you, starting with Mr. James, if you could comment on the Friendship Heights sector plan.
Well, the planning department was founded, I think, in 22-ish by a developer, party boss for the Democratic Party, and an out-and-out racist, so that the vote couldn't be used to let black people get into white neighborhoods. And it's still an ivory tower. I believe it's an unconstitutional. We're supposed to be guaranteed a Republican form of government. Those guys aren't elected like the school board. So I would not recommend any funding, and what's popping up in large cities now, mostly in Europe, is democratic urban planning. So I don't know if you remember the SimCity game. It's an urban planning video game. I'd make a 3D version of it. There's software off the shelf, and each and every person in a neighborhood can have input and control and track the projects, and the system would simulate all the impact on the neighborhood. Do we need to add a school? What's going to happen with water and sewer? And basically be able to automate. There's something called neural evolutionary algorithms that you sort of give it a rough thing of what your goals are, and it will keep evolving the urban plan until it gets to an optimal point. Fastest transit, most transit equity, best schools. So there's technology that can solve the problem, and I put it back into your hands and take it away from park and planning.
Mr. Jawando.
I know this is a very important issue to many of you, and it should be. Planning should be participatory. You should be included, not an afterthought. It shouldn't be, we're going to have a meeting and just let you talk, and then we're going to go do what we thought we were going to do anyway. And unfortunately, that's the way and a lot of people feel. And I can tell you, having been on the planning and the committee that oversees planning for the last 8 years, it's not an unfounded feeling. People can have a point of view. They should. They go to a school, they learn something, they come back, they want to implement it. But the people who actually are living through it should really be involved. I think the point that was just made, you should have a way to have real influence on what your planning is going to look like and what the sector plan is going to look like. The issues with parcels 4 and 6 are real. The heights and transitions are real. You want to make sure that actually, if they commit to something, it has teeth. You actually get it, and that there's real community input. And so the county executive doesn't have planning authority, right? It's the council. But you work with the council, and you do have budgetary authority. So you have to use all those levers, and you work with the state legislature. And I will use every lever available to make sure that you're at the table. And I mentioned I voted against the attainable housing strategy in part because you weren't at the table. And that's what I'll do as county executive.
Thank you. Mr. Skolnick.
Okay. Well, the good news and the bad news is that we're very close to a metro station, okay? And good planning or growth would be to concentrate a lot of the growth to high density by our metro stations and let Metro help us with our transportation. And you look around here, we've got the Geico property. We've got Saks Fifth Avenue with their large parking lots. We have the building right by the courtyard, which I believe they're trying to redevelop. I think we can develop those properties, high density, but protect the single-family homes that are, say, in Somerset, which is our neighbor to this way, or other neighborhoods. From what I've read, it seems to me that the single-family home neighborhoods are concerned about the changing of the status of those neighborhoods. They don't want high density in neighborhoods that have single-family homes. So I think the solution is, with reason, build high density near our metro stations and let that help with the growth without affecting single-family home neighborhoods.
Ms. Wells.
Yes, and I agree with my colleague Shelly Skolnick, and to be additive and getting back to my opening statement, you guys, again, it's your community. You have lived here for a long time, and you have invested your asset, your greatest asset of your home here, and so it is important that when change is coming, that you have a seat at the table and that your voices are heard. And so as county executive, I agree that there should not be like a by right upzoning of communities and single-family homes. I think it is important that if we want to have transit-oriented housing, it needs to be near transit, as Mr. Skolnick has mentioned. But also, I think it's important that when we do increase the density of housing, that we do it in the right order. Montgomery County has a bad habit of building the homes and having the people come, and then an afterthought of building the infrastructure. So then we see our schools are overcrowded, over capacity. Our roads, there's congestion. Our sidewalks aren't even built or safe. We don't have adequate transportation or utilities. And so I think it is important that as we move in this direction, again, our voices are heard, and that we are able to have the infrastructure necessary so we can continue to age here and again attract young families. Young families are looking for great schools, and we do have great schools here. We have identified that we need to improve in our proficiency and literacy rates, and so we want to fund our schools and ensure our families have what they need, whether they're aging in place or the younger families starting younger adults starting families. Thank you.
Mr. Banerjee.
So I totally understand that you are not happy with the planning department because you know why? They don't listen. They don't give time to talk to you. It happened to us because if you see the budget proposal by the county executive, they're creating a new tax zone on a transit area. Now, who lives in the transit area? Who doesn't want to afford a car? They want to tax those people more, but they don't want to talk about the multi-million-dollar houses in Potomac. So this is the problem. Now, I am a taxpayer and a resident of Montgomery County. I asked my council member, I didn't name anybody, the same answer, two questions, didn't get answers. Why did he support the tax increase? 2024, 2025? No answer. This is how our government works. Live example. That's why you have to change the establishment politicians. They don't listen to us, they don't answer to us, but they are accountable to us. They are not doing their job. Also, morning shows the day, and action speaks louder than words. So in front of you, if that person doesn't even answer, do you expect he is going to do that when he get elected next 4 years? You should be daydreaming. Wake up. Don't vote for me because you like me or you like what I'm saying, but vote for your own pocket budget. If somebody is saying that they're going to increase your taxes, believe them. Thank you.
Mr. Friedson.
I like you, but I'm not voting for you. I'm just kidding.
Thank you.
As was said earlier, the county executive doesn't actually have a vote on a sector plan, so I just think we have to set reasonable expectations here. There are certain roles, there's comments, there are other official duties of the county executive in sector and master plans, but there isn't actually a vote on it. And actually, the three of us as council members are not going to vote on this based on the rules and the timing for sector plans. It's not going to be before the council, before our term ends, and before this has to be taken up. So none of us are going to be voting on this, but we may have a role and a voice as part of the process. I've had many conversations with residents about Parcel 4, Parcel 6, about the Geico site, of course, including many people I talked to on the way in here, and hundreds of conversations otherwise. I've had a number of conversations with neighboring communities about the Brookdale neighborhood in particular and the boundary, and have a number of conversations about that. My hope is that there is an opportunity for the village to be involved, for the Friendship Heights Alliance and other folks who are involved in these issues to weigh in, and we can see some of the benefits of what the community is looking for, where we can see pedestrian safety improvements, where we can see opportunities for the type of retail that we'd like to see, where we can see the livability and walkability and the infrastructure and parks and public spaces and other opportunities that we would like to see. There's a lot of time before now and the ultimate decision. Ultimately, I hope that you have a voice and a seat at that table, and I'll do everything that I can to ensure it.
Mr. Glass.
You all live in a wonderful community. It is always great coming here and seeing the vibrancy that exists. Not only today, seeing so many friends and supporters, but I remember decades ago when I was attending American University and I had some friends who were fortunate to live in Friendship Heights. And I am a supporter of transit-oriented development. And what that means is we need to figure out how we can provide more housing within a community and having those specifics be determined in the community. You know, the truth of the matter is, while this plan is being undertaken, the plan in my own neighborhood is now being taken by the planning board. That is the Eastern Silver Spring Community Plan. And hardly a day goes by when I'm not walking my two dogs with my husband that a neighbor doesn't pull me aside and ask me about the rezoning. And what I tell them is this is a very long process. And what has been undertaken is in the planning board itself has not reached the council. But I also think the process is broken Quite frankly, I think the planning department needs to be updated and modernized. It was created by the state of Maryland 100 years ago. We're in need for reform. I'm a progressive reformer. I'm an outsider. I'm not the establishment candidate here. And I'm the only one who's never taken money from PACs and corporations. So I have a reformist mentality because I think we all need to be at the table.
Thank you. As I mentioned, this is a two-part question because specifically a number of members of the audience have asked about a major aspect of the Friendship Heights sector plan, which is the future of the Geico site. The question from the audience is, what is your position on an appropriate density and building scale for the Geico redevelopment relative to the surrounding residential community, and where will you draw the line? And what specific commitments will you make to ensure residents have meaningful input before any site plan, referring to the Geico site, is approved? And we start with Mr. Jawando.
Thank you. I've been talking about this Geico site for a long time because one of the bills that was mentioned earlier to allow for the tear down of an abandoned property where you don't have to pay property tax for 20 years, there were some shenanigans where they were trying to apply for that. Look, it's one of the most biggest opportunities for redevelopment in the area, and it has to go right. It has to go right. The community was promised years ago in the 1998 plan when Geico was there, an expanded Brookdale Park, a central open space, a sports field, none of which came to fruition. None. And we need to make sure that any agreements that include community input have teeth and there's some clawback and you don't get continued approvals. Geico, when they were there, they just kept saying, oh, we'll delay, 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 and then now they're moving and nothing happened. 520 units on 26 acres, that requires serious infrastructure planning, traffic studies, schools analysis. I'm the chair of the Education Committee. Last year, Bethesda Elementary, the superintendent took the unprecedented step of saying, because it was so overcrowded, you can send your kids to any other school in the county. That was poor planning. We've stranded 40,000 people in Clarksburg. Great community, but no infrastructure, no jobs, and very little amenities. And we're trying to catch up and build libraries and things up there. So you have to plan for that on the front end. That's what I'll push for as county executive.
Thank you. Mr. Skolnick.
Well, I see the Geico property pretty frequently, but I also see this park pretty frequently. And it seems to me Geico has so many acres that hopefully the correct planning would be high-rise buildings just like we have here, but plenty of open space also. But, you know, we have other problems like Geico. We have the Lake Forest Mall that's closed. We have the White Flint Mall that's closed. We have the Sears at White Oak that's closed. I understand they're probably being developed, but what I'm saying is that there are many opportunities in this county that are not being developed as quickly as they should be. And as I said before, with eminent domain, if necessary, the county can take the lead in developing these properties. I don't think we'll need it maybe with Geico, but other parts of the county. We have got to take advantage of the land that's just sitting there. I mean, if you look at White Flint, just abandoned, you look at Lake Forest, it's horrible. It looks like overgrown vegetation everywhere. It's just very sad.
Thank you. Ms. Wells.
Yes, and so to your question for the parcels 4 and 6, I would oppose the designation of the 15 stories, and I agree with the village recommendation to limit the height to 40 feet, I believe, max. And so I think the village has done a really great job in advocating for what you need and being very vocal and out front and in saying what is in the best interest of your residents. We know it's important to continue to have the quality of life that you've enjoyed for so long, whether it's the fresh air, the sunlight, but with high-rise buildings, a lot of those things go away because, again, the high-rise shades a lot of the parks, a lot of the things that they're looking to do and redevelop the area is not going to be what you have asked or have become accustomed to. And so as the next county executive, what I would do is ensure that what you have done to be thoughtful and proactive to propose that is sensible, that you continue to push for that and you have an ally in me. Thank you.
Mr. Banerjee.
So, Mr. Friedson, I like you as well. And I want you to keep fighting for no more tax increases. And vote for the budget that increase the taxes. So, and I'll save you more yard signs. So Geico site plan, there are 7 districts in Montgomery County, 7 dedicated county council members, 4 at-large members. Under my administration, people don't have to call 311 and have to wait for a week or 10 days to say, oh, you contacted us, what you want. So under my administration, my government will come in the 7 districts, have monthly or bi-weekly meetings with the community leaders and residents. And you tell us what you want, and we serve you. Because on a day 1 of my office, I report to you, not the other way around. You will not see me dodging question like this establishment people why I supported the tax increase and not answer that. I will answer to you each and every day. I will respond to your each and every question, and I will have open door policy for you. That's what matters, because I'm coming from a private sector. I work for Microsoft, Oracle, Honeywell, US Department of Veteran Affairs. We cannot dodge question over there. That's what I will use my experience in my government job. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Friedson.
There were major commitments from the Geico site from 1998. The reason why those major commitments didn't go through is that the site wasn't redeveloped. There is understandable concern in the community for what that site could be, given the size and the central nature of that site. And this community was talking about that 8 years ago of what would happen when I was first running for county council and asking for your support and for your vote. That's also an opportunity to realize some of the public benefits that were desired in 1998 and to update those public benefits to make sure that they're serving us in 2028 and moving forward. There's also an opportunity as we look at that site to ensure that it's part of a broader and more cohesive effort in Friendship Heights. One of the challenges before is we didn't have any coordinating entity. Because of the work that we did together, we now have the Friendship Heights Alliance. There's a real opportunity here to create seamless transitions between properties, to make sure that we have the integration, to access some of the public benefits and opportunities on these sites, in particular the Geico site, because it's one of the biggest and most important and central sites as part of this plan. I'll be working closely with you. Like I said, I'm not going to have a specific vote on the exact density and heights, but ultimately we need to make sure that the Geico site specifically and the broader plan is serving the interests of the current community and can support our goals for the future as well.
Thank you. Mr. Glass.
I want to start with some good news, that when Geico moved, they moved to Bethesda. They stayed in Montgomery County, so that is a good thing. And so now we're having a discussion about what comes after. And what I appreciate about you and your neighbors is that everyone recognizes the opportunity. Everyone says, yes, there should be housing, it's just what does it look like? And that is a good sign. It's a conversation. And that's what the planning process is working towards figuring out. As has been noted, we will not be on the council, but I will also say that I am not aware of any proposal that's come from the planning department that has not been amended and changed in some way by the council, whoever comes after us. That's based on community input, whether it was University Boulevard Corridor Master Plan or the own sector plan that's going to be in my neighborhood when I'm no longer on the council. But I want to go back to the point I made prior that I didn't have enough time to answer, and it's about having a broken, outdated system. What I meant by that was we have a Park and Planning Commission that was created 100 years ago by the state of Maryland, and they report to the council. But yet it is the county executive, a different branch of government, where the permitting and the roads and whether or not we want libraries or rec centers to be part of that proposal, that all rests in a different branch of government. And oftentimes, as you're now seeing, the left hand doesn't talk to the right hand, and oftentimes they don't agree. We need to do better. We need to update and modernize it.
Thank you. Mr. James.
Yeah, if you get married based on a couple of 90-second questions, you probably won't be married very long. You guys need to go to my website and spend actually a couple hours. No, seriously, a couple hours. There's these digital democratic systems, and maybe with ranked voting, to allow you guys to design. And what set me apart of all my competitors in Silicon Valley is they all started from a structural approach, looking for structural solutions. What I would always do, I'd go to the customer and ask for a functional definition of what you're trying to accomplish. Better transit, better education, and then you can think outside the box and throw away these things. If you look at, there's some posters out there of my transportation system. It like in Pike and Rose, 59% of the land area is for parking and for roads. It will eliminate 80%, 90% of that. So it will be able to free up, if you change your paradigm. We've got transit-oriented development, but it's 100, 200-year-old technology. There's technology off the shelf that's being put in other places, and the Chinese are doing a wonderful job because I guess they don't have red tape. But you've got to look at these other technology. You've got to, expand your horizon. And really, there's probably 30% of land we can reclaim just right here in Friendship Heights.
Well, moving from Friendship Heights to the county as a whole, one audience member has asked about what has clearly been a hot-button issue, both for environmental reasons and for utility ratepayer reasons, and that's data centers. I'd like to start off by asking the candidates to, the audience question is, what is your position on data centers? And I would add, and I would ask the candidates to address whether they support some form of moratorium on data centers, either short-term or long-term in the county. Mr. Skolnick, we'll start with you.
Again, this has been brought up to us at other forums. My answer has been that we need to encourage data centers in Calvert County by the nuclear reactors. And why? One is they need a tremendous amount of electricity. Nuclear reactors, like the two in Calvert County, have that. If you put the data centers by the nuclear reactors, you don't affect the grid. The problem we have in the United States is our electric grid is outdated. And if you put it, say, in Montgomery County and it's far away from the electric source, that affects the grid. Also, data centers need water. Luckily, the Calvert Cliffs, the Calvert nuclear reactors are right near a body of water. Then there's also a question of sound. Data centers make a lot of sound. Again, if you're building a data center near the nuclear reactors, there are not too many people near that site that would be affected by the sound. So rather than just objecting to something that's coming our way, just like AI, it is inevitable. What we need to do is offer reasonable alternatives. I do work in Calvert County, and I think the next trip down there, I'm going to ask the government officials there whether they would support it. There'd be a lot of tax revenue for them with minimal impact on their citizens. So hopefully we can encourage Calvert County to be the lead, not only for us, but for the entire state of Maryland as far as data centers, and not in Montgomery County, not in Frederick County, or other counties. Thank you.
Ms. Wells.
Yes, so to address your question, as the next county executive, I will mandate that data centers be located away from our schools and residential areas, prioritizing existing industrial zones. These facilities will be required to provide on-site energy, utilizing energy choice to meet their 24/7 needs. This ensures they contribute to the tax base without straining the local power grid or risking brownouts for residents. I will aggressively reduce the red tape that stalls projects for years. I will weaken Montgomery County's all-electric mandates by aligning them to Maryland state standards. Data centers will operate under long-term minimum demand contracts. By streamlining permitting and offering contract certainty, we will attract high-paying jobs and massive private investment. This ensures that infrastructure costs are borne by the developers, not the taxpayers, while the resulting revenue is funneled directly into funding MCPS's facility maintenance and crucial infrastructure. To build a thriving, affordable Montgomery County, we must explore high-value data center investments as a new commercial tax revenue necessary for fully reversing our recent property tax hikes. But we must do it responsibly, and we cannot just close our eyes and say we're going to put a moratorium, because as Shelly Skolnick has said, it will happen, and we don't want to be on the menu if we do not lead in this area. Thank you.
Mr. Banerjee.
So do you want to listen to me and do you want to listen to the truth, or do you want me to sugarcoat you and give it to you? That's wonderful. I know that's a wonderful answer, because you know why? That's how we are used to. We are not used to listen to the truth. But for a change, I'll give you the truth. Data centers are coming. Because of the election, they are going to do a moratorium, and then money talks. You know that, right? So what I will say is that if they are going to come, they have to fulfill all the environmental regulations and protections. Like my friend, Mr. Andrew said, bring your own energy. I like that. And I quoted that because I support that also. Because they have to have their own wind, power, and solar energies. And they cannot touch the water from the Potomac water. Simple as that. And when they come here, they are going to compensate next 10 years of our county budget. And there is a budget shortfall. They are going to compensate, not us. Our property tax will not go high. Our income tax will not go high. And I will freeze property taxes worth less than $1 million with a balanced budget. And also provide homeowners tax credit extra for the seniors, special needs, low-income families. If you like it, support me. If not, pay more taxes. Thank you.
You want the truth? I think you can handle the truth. So I've called for it's called a Beyonce policy, bring your own new clean energy. I believe that is the best way that we can ensure that we protect ratepayers from your energy bills going way up and protect the environment. So number one, I continue to believe that we should have a bring your own new clean energy policy. I believe we should regulate this, be realistic on what we can do, not try to punt it to a task force where we don't know what the outcome is going to be and aren't going to make the decisions ourselves. I think it's our job to make the decisions. And ultimately, if we don't act and no one else acts to follow us, our energy bills are going to continue to go up. Right now, your energy bills are going up because data centers are happening all around us. And so we can demonstrate how this can be done, if it's going to be done the right way, in Montgomery County. We can make sure that we regulate them so they can only be in commercial and industrial areas. Nobody wants to be Loudoun County and allow these to go anywhere. We can make sure that we protect the Potomac River and our water resources and our broader environment through our land use regulatory policy. We can make sure that we ensure through the Bring Your Own New Clean Energy that we're not allowing for a socialization of the cost where we bear the cost on our energy bill, but a privatization of the profits. There is a way for us to do this right. We have limited power, but we can use that power, particularly in land use, to be realistic and regulate these to the extent that they should be regulated to make sure that they don't hurt our taxpayers and ratepayers and our environment.
Mr. Glass.
Not a day goes by when someone doesn't ask me about data centers, and what you're hearing is a lot of questions that remain unanswered. And it's a very timely question because just today at the council, I introduced legislation calling for a 6-month pause on data centers so we can answer these big questions. There are 3 concerns, major concerns that I have. First and foremost, utility bills. I held a hearing as chair of the Environment Committee requesting that our utility companies come to Rockville and tell us why your utility bills are increasing. And we were told it is because of data centers in Northern Virginia, in Ohio, in Pennsylvania. So as we allow more to get built, your utility bills are going up. Second, we have ambitious climate goals here in Montgomery County. We are on the path to be carbon neutral, because Donald Trump doesn't care about protecting the planet, but we do here. Being carbon neutral by 2035, if we have data centers with other sources of energy, it blows that out entirely. And then third, the Potomac River Keepers have just announced that the Potomac River is the most endangered water source in America if we continue building more data centers. That's why I introduced legislation that received no co-sponsors, unfortunately, but it is why I got the endorsement of the Sierra Club. This is a real problem. We have to get it right.
Mr. James.
Yeah, there's one thing that none of these guys seem to be even thinking about. But who knows this guy named Bernie Sanders? Anybody know or heard of him? He's traveling around the country with Jeffrey Hinton, the godfather of AI. He made the breakthrough on transformers that made these AI so intelligent. Now, if you had a 10 to 30% chance of a hydrogen bomb going off next door, would you allow it to be put next door to you? And this is what has happened. Go to my website, look at some of these billionaire AI scientists who created this stuff, and saying, one guy says he's been in a room where they've calculated the risk of wiping out humanity. We're building and I call it the AI beast. This is maybe Revelations 13 coming true. But this is an alien species. It's accelerating its intelligence. And as the public safety officer for the county, the number one, I would say, okay, prove to me that this technology, if we put a data center in, is not going to wipe us out. And you know what? They can't do it. No, they've got the AI safety labs. Nobody has a plan.
Thank you. Mr. Jawando.
Thank you. Yes, I'll be introducing legislation calling for a 2-year moratorium. I would have done it sooner, but I couldn't because there was a bill pending by another council member, and that you can't introduce that until it's done. That's the way the process works. But I've called for this policy for a long time. The CCAN has come out in support of this policy. It's the strongest one in the longest time period. The reason being, you heard about the Potomac River. The data center that's being proposed in Dickerson and other large data centers take up as much energy as a small city. In Herndon and Virginia, as a state, data centers are using almost 60% of their total energy. You saw there was an Amazon center that wanted to build where they thought they were going to have some higher education campus, and they were like, please, no more. We don't need any more. And so we don't need to rush this. The other thing is the climate goals. It's going to dramatically increase our CO2 emissions. And then, on top of all that, right now, raise your hand if you think a data center should pay the same property tax as your home. Let the record reflect there's no hands up. That's what would happen in Montgomery County because we don't have authority, as I talked about earlier, to differentiate against property types. Commercial, residential pay the same flat regressive tax. And a data center would pay the same tax as you. We need state authority to change that. That's going to take another year in Annapolis. Starting in January. We shouldn't be building anything until we look into all these issues.
Thank you. Well, as I always say at the end of these, time flies when you're having fun, and this is my 6th, or is it my 7th? I think I've lost track. I'm sure the candidates have lost track of how many of these they've been at. But it's a little bit past 8. We need to be out of here by 8:15, so we're going to go to closing statements, and we're going to do it in reverse order from how we started. So, Ms. Wells, you're first, and we'll go down the line.
How long?
Seconds.
1.5 minutes?
To 1.5 minutes each.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out this evening, and thank you again for inviting me. My name is Esther Wells, and I am running for county executive. Please go to my website, voteforesther.com, or you can reach out to me at voteforesther@gmail.com. Again, I am a lifelong resident of Montgomery County. I'm a single mom of 2 boys. I am a certified public accountant with a master's in taxation. I have lived here and I worked in public accounting with Ernst & Young. I have worked in corporate headquarters. I have received progressively increasing responsibility as a leader in the energy space. I have a proven track record of monetizing multi-million-dollar savings. And as Montgomery County is in a financial crisis, it is time for us to elect someone with financial expertise and financial understanding to be able to look at the books and to be able to provide taxpayers with comfort in knowing that our funds are being spent and that we're receiving the maximum return on investment. And so my priorities are simple. They're affordability and accountability. And so for affordability, I will reduce your taxes. No other candidate on the Democrat side is proposing to reduce taxes. I will reduce your property tax. I will reduce the valuation assessment increase each year. I will work to eliminate the fuel energy tax, and I will ensure that you have more funds in your pocket. On the accountability side, I will do a forensic audit of our $8 billion budget to ensure that we can find all of the waste and abuse and be proactive and not wait for the Office of Inspector General to find the millions of savings of waste that they are finding. And so again, vote for Esther on November 3rd, County Executive. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Skolnick.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about public safety. We didn't raise it. A couple of days ago, Diane and I were in our apartment about midnight, and the doorbell rang. We're thinking, who would ring the doorbell at midnight in the apartment building? So we both went. We were fully dressed. We weren't asleep. Went to the door, and it was two Montgomery County firefighters in full gear. I mean, they had everything on, the oxygen tank and everything. Apparently, there was a gas leak or an odor, odor in the apartment above us. And they came to our apartment to check if we had any gas odor. So they came in and checked the bathrooms, and everything was fine. But to be close to these firefighters, when they are wearing their equipment, that's huge. I mean, it's really, it's impressive. And it just reminded Diane and I, of how fortunate we are in Montgomery County to have such first responders. Again, we all talk about how great first responders are, but when you see them in person, like I said, very close up with all that gear on, coming in at midnight to make sure that our apartment was safe, I just appreciated that. As county executive, I would appreciate all our first responders similarly.
Thank you. Mr. Jawando.
Thank you for having us tonight. Thank you for your advocacy for Friendship Heights and for this great community. I hope you'll support me, and you can visit willjawando.com to learn more. If you have an ability to take a yard sign, we have some outside. I know departments don't allow them. And thank you to all our volunteers tonight. This is a great, great community we have here. Montgomery County has 4 of the most diverse cities in the country. My dad came here from Nigeria fleeing a civil war. My mom from Kansas looking for opportunity, economic opportunity. And we settled here, and I'm raising my 4 children with my wife here because it's a great place. But we have to make sure it remains affordable, safe, in a place that you can retire with dignity. And the next county executive is going to have a big role in making sure that that happens. We won't do it doing the same old, letting developers drive the train, not including community in the conversation, foregoing investments in our schools and our roads, both of which have infrastructure challenges. We're going to have to change the way we do business, but we're going to do it together. One of the things I never say at these debates, because I just don't believe it, is I'm the only one this or I'm the only one that. No, we have to do this together. This is a community where we have to listen to each other and come up with plans in a collaborative way. That's what I pledge to do as your county executive, and thank you for having us here tonight.
Mr. James.
Yeah, the problem with popular wisdom, it's an oxymoron. Most people don't understand macroeconomics. We are going to go through the mother of all economic collapses. With the COVID, we've seen, just Google private debt crisis. We should have been in a collapse, but the Federal Reserve decided that the banks didn't have to market all those bad commercial real estate debt. Combine that with this overbuilt, we've got 6 billionaires racing each other to get their AI to come alive. So we're overbuilding data centers by 5 times. It's going to be the dot-com bubble, and that's going to collapse. So we've got most of our money into inflation-protected treasuries. I recommend the same thing. Look at what Warren Buffett became rich through the 8 collapses he went through. You know, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. We need someone sharp enough that can compete with the Elon Musk of the world and save the onslaught that's about to happen. This is serious. This is why I'm running. In 2008, I tried to warn everybody. I was like Chicken Little, the sky is falling. 2009, everybody thanked me.
Thank you.
They're the ones that listen.
Mr. Glass.
I want to thank you all for joining us this evening to talk about the future of Montgomery County, because it is worth fighting for. We live in a beautiful place, and yes, we do have very big challenges, from housing and education to senior services. And we also have big challenges from just across Western Avenue. And I am proud to have been fighting for every single resident to make sure that we are all safe in this community, regardless of where we pray, who we love, how we identify, or our nation of origin. These are big, complex issues, and you need a county executive who understands how to work with the council, how to manage the county bureaucracy, and also how to stand up and fight Donald Trump. As a gay Jewish man, I have seen the hate. Don't go on my social media, but it is real. And from standing up the Anti-Hate Task Force to passing the ICE Out Act, we need to continue wrapping our arms around all of our neighbors and pushing back against the hate and the vitriol. That is what this moment calls for. And we need someone who can do it all. And I'm proud and honored to have served you as an at-large council member over the last 8 years. I'm proud that, unlike my colleagues, I have never accepted donations from corporations or special interests or political action committees, which means I listen and fight for you, not special interests. Go to evanglass.com if you want more information and to get involved. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Friedson.
Good evening. It's been great to be here and to be back in Friendship Heights. I am really excited about this campaign and the opportunity that we have to talk about the future of Montgomery County. Despite the challenges that we face, the future is bright with the right leadership if we can bring people together to actually tackle these issues head on. That's what I've done on the County Council, working together with you, delivering on nationally recognized innovative housing solutions, delivering on paid parental leave for county employees, delivering on the largest climate investment in the history of the county, and the most significant economic development package in the history of the county. We can do that and more if we work together to address our issues and to join together to make Montgomery County more affordable for our current residents, to help you age in place, and to make it more accessible for new families to come here and benefit from all that makes Montgomery County what it is. I am proud of the coalition that we are building on this campaign, the broadest coalition of any other campaign. We have retired teachers. We have all of our public safety behind us with the career firefighters, volunteer firefighters, police officers. We have the Coalition for Equitable Representation in Government. We have a broad-based coalition that includes more municipal, state, and other elected officials than any other campaign, because of our proven track record of bringing people together to actually deliver on the things that truly matter. We are going to need that now more than ever in this existential moment. I hope you'll join me. Please go to andrewfriedson.com and look forward to having your support and hope to have your help on this effort. Thank you.
Mr. Banerjee.
Thank you very much, host, for the opportunity, and nice meeting you all. Let me ask you, are you better off today than 7 to 8 years back? If the answer is yes, vote for them. If the answer is no, consider me as an option. I am tired of tax increases. I hope you are also. So visit my website, mithunbanerjee.com. Once elected as a county executive, I promise to take no more than $120,000 as a salary, instead of the current salary, approximately $232,000, and request all my fellow county and MCPS employees to volunteer not to take more than $130,000. And the savings will be used in Montgomery County Public School budget. And also, as I said, I'm going to provide free universal childcare, free universal pre-K by raising taxes on millionaires and businesses making profit more than $1 million a year. Also, I will provide higher homeowners tax credit to seniors, special needs and low-income household, and create small business-friendly environment by cutting red tape for business and stop illegal deportation without due process. So the people like me, who looks like me, talks like me, doesn't have to carry a passport card in his wallet. Vote for me or pay more taxes, because I'm not promising not to increase taxes this year, but I'm going to promise you not to increase taxes for 4 years during my administration, and that's a promise. And I will never do that if you're making less than $1 million. People with millionaires pay more. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's have a round of applause for the candidates, and thank you.